Hey everyone. I did get a few questions as to how I draw my braids. And I thought maybe I'll make a mini video tutorial because I feel like I'm better at explaining with visuals rather than not having them. So here we go. I already drew two characters, right? And if you notice, I just blocked in the main shape of the hair. There's nothing special, just the main shape. And if you want me to take a step back, the main thing I do for hair, I did do a hair tutorial. If you want, you can go back and check that one, because I'm just going to do a quick review here. I usually look for the flow. So I look for the general flow of how I want the hair to look or move. It could be very exaggerated as well, because you can always tone it down later. I feel like it's way better that way too, because sometimes, like when you're drawing and you start out very conservative, you might come out with something that looks kind of stiff, versus if you start out super exaggerated, you can always tone it down to make it how you want it. I always found that, at least for me, that it's easier to tone something down rather than try to make something stiff. Rather than make something look more flowy when it didn't start out that way. So think about the shape, not the shape, the flow, and how loose or tight you want the braid. So for example, for a loose braid, you can have just a general flow, right? And if you're starting at the top, don't forget that a braid is a three-stranded hairstyle. So you do want to start with them with one V shape, like I just did in the middle, and then connect another. I kind of think they look like almonds. Connect another almond shape, and you're gonna keep repeating this pattern, this V. I don't know, it looks like a V to me, or an almond. And you just keep going. If you notice, I kind of went outside of my guide, and that's okay. If I really wanted that flow that I originally drew, I would have to go back and just redo it, and that's okay. That's what erasers are for. And if you notice, I went from large to small. If you look at references for braids, you'll see that the braids will start out chunkier and thicker, closer to the scalp, and then taper down, similar to all of our hair. We just have thicker, more voluminous hair at the scalp, and then it all dwindles down. But let's say you wanted to do a tighter braid. So same concept, right? Think of the flow, and I would actually start smaller, because tighter braids are usually thinner. So same concept, start in the middle somewhere. And if you notice, my tapering from large to small is not going to be that big or that noticeable until we get towards the bottom. This is the general sketch for braids. This is how I do my braids. Well, I did like a little tie you can do. I don't know what these are called. These circle hair ties, whatever. Okay. Now that we have the general idea, that we have an idea of which flow we want to take, whether we want a loose braid or a tighter braid. So let's start with this girl here. Let's say we want a tighter braid. That is why I blocked out the shapes and the flow. So I blocked out the shapes that I will like for her braids to take. And remember, this is a sketch, so it might change. And because she does have tighter braids, you definitely will see more of the scalp. This is why I love references. If you look up box braids, cornrows, you'll see that the scalp is very visible because the braids have been tied very, very tight. And if you notice, I just brought in, let me make it a little darker. I just brought in that V shape, the initial V. And this is me because I'm a righty. I like to turn the image and work that way. And after I finish like sketching out the shape of the braid, I will go back actually. I will go back. Oh, what's going on? I'm sketching on the wrong layer. Oh, this always happens. All right. So let's see, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so when I finish sketching out the shape of the braid, I'm gonna go back and erase. Actually, let me just do it now. I would erase around it, okay? If you notice, I'm erasing some of the guide with the skin color, because again, if you look at references, you will see the skin color poking through, because again, braids are tight. If you notice, the braids, I started moving them a little bit, so the perspective changed where this side of the braid is less visible because it's getting tucked behind her hair, even though it's gonna pop out on this side. And you're not gonna see anything, you're not gonna see the braid that goes here because it's behind her face. So keeping those little things in mind, you can continue. And let's say if you wanted to twist it so only this side of the braid is visible, you can totally do that. Just remember, the braid, I feel like it's an almond. It's like an almond shape. And if I wanted to twist it, you can just keep going. So if you just go here, I hope this visual is better than my explaining, because I really think my explaining sucks, but I hope this does help a little bit. Oh, and this is just something I like to do. Sometimes instead of using the eraser tool, I like to use just the color, just colors around it. And that's one braid. And if you notice, I sketched out more, but I don't need it. And that's okay. You can always make changes. It's totally okay. So let's do it again on this side. Again, I'm gonna start out with that V. Because remember, braids are a 3-strand hairstyle. Oops. And I should have done this for the other one, where it's remember to make it look like the hair is being pulled from the scalp, because it is. So again, V and my almonds. Same thing. We're getting the braid being tucked under, not under, but behind her ear. And you know what? Let's twist it. This braid just got twisted. Well, that's what I would imagine would happen if you tuck something behind your ear. It would twist. I'm no expert though. I've only had these kinds of braids, like cornrows and box braids, very few in my lifetime. Maybe, I think I did cornrows maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I felt like the pressure was too much for me. Like I couldn't take the tightness. Okay, let's see what's going on. They're not looking like V's, and that's okay. I make mistakes, so I'm still learning, and it's okay to make mistakes. There we go. Now it looks like a braid again. Yeah, what was I saying about braids? Oh yeah. Now they were very, very tight and really uncomfortable to sleep with for me, and I know that's something you can get used to. I just didn't want to. Alright, so that's how you would do like a tighter braid. And again, if you want tighter than this, you would just go thinner, okay? Just go thinner. And let's say you want a loose braid. You're like, okay, I want like these beachy girls who show up on YouTube or Instagram where they're loose braids, and that's cool. Okay, so for this one, we're just gonna make one giant braid. And again, what I'm just doing is really defining the shape of the hair. And again, you can go bigger or smaller, go outside of it, it's really up to you. So what I want is a big braid, and I would like for some of her hair to fall. So like kind of this would be the flow of the hair. And these little lines you really don't need, or if you want to guide you, you can totally do that. So I'm gonna imagine that she's being pulled, the hair is being pulled that way, right? It's being pulled back. So same thing still apply. V, just like the V here. We did a V, except like with this giant braid, it'll be more exaggerated. Okay, and this is how basically I generally sketch out a braid. I think this is the biggest braid I've ever made, honestly. But you kind of get the point, right? I hope you all get the point. I hope this is helpful. And let's say I want it to come this way, right? So I'm gonna have to turn the braid. Or maybe not turn it, let's get over here. And if you see, it's a really hot mess right now. I think the reason is because this is so big and this is the biggest braid I've ever made. All right, let's do ribbons and a poof. All right, and that's okay. And then we can go in and clean it up with the color. So let's see, let me shade that in. All right, let's give her green hair. Why not? Why not? Let's give her green hair. Green hair is dope. Okay. Oh man, this part's gonna take a while. Actually, yeah, that's gonna take too long for this tutorial. So let's just go go in and clean up some of these braids. So instead of coloring it, I'm just gonna clean it up with the eraser tool. And if you notice, I started from top to bottom when it comes to erasing it, because the way I like to do my braids is that the yeah, this looks like a hot mess, and it's okay if you feel like it looks like a hot mess, just erase it and then fix it. You know what, let's do giant ball here. And with this big braids, I usually like to, well, let me do that after I clean up. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So let's clean up first. And after you clean up with these big loose braids, I like to change the shape a little. Like instead of just being an almond, they become, I don't know, I like them rectangular-ish with some wave. And let me clean up a little. Brush too big. That has to be the biggest braid I've ever made. Only I would do a tutorial doing something I've never done before, because that makes sense. If you want to see more of this, I'm on Twitch. I stream, I'm trying to stick to Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, and Tuesdays. Right now I'm streaming at Tuesdays at 1 p.m. But that's gonna change because I'm gonna go back to work, so I can't you know, you can't stream during work hours. So most likely I'll change it to later at night, or just stream Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll keep you guys updated for sure. And I hope watching me draw this is more helpful than the way I explained it. All right, let's see. So we did flow, type, and sketch. And I'll quickly do a color. So for color, I might do this one because it's not as big. Let's give you blue hair. All right, I'll do this one for color demonstrations because it's not as big. Let me get that base in. I don't think I'm gonna do both sides. And just do one side. Oh man. I usually just paint on one layer. There we go. Back to normal. All right, so what I like to do is once I get my base color in, I like to do my shadow second. So yeah, let me not be precious. I'll just do this braid. And then I'll get a shadow color. So this is where you can get playful. Do you want the color to become cooler? Do you want the color to become warmer? That is really, really up to you. Let's be fancy and let's go warmer today. Let's go warmer, why not? I go warmer and darker. I never really go, I don't like that. Never mind, abort mission, let's go cooler, So let's go cooler and darker. But again, this could be done with however you want. Not however you want, but like your own imagination. So what I like to do with the darker shading color, I like to shade kind of like a ribbon. So if you imagine this was a ribbon, this part would get the most shade, then this part would be light, and then this part would start getting shade again, and the shading would taper off. It wouldn't be, yeah, so it would just taper off from darkest to lightest and then go back around. And what I like to do is, oh, this is also assuming lighting is coming here. So you have to pay attention to the lighting you chose as well. So let's see, keep going like this. And if you notice, it's already starting to look like she has highlights. Not highlights, but like the braids are nice and like bouncy. It's healthy hair. And usually if you see tight braids, they're very shiny because they're tight as hell. So basically same idea, and I would actually go a little bit darker, a little bit more darker again, darker and cooler. I usually like to keep, if I'm going darker, I'm definitely changing the temperature to be a little bit more extreme, like it's going to be a little bit more extreme, cold or dark, just because it pops, it makes the I don't know, like the colors pop a little bit more. And if you notice with that darker color, I'm going back in and outlining it. It's never a good idea to outline in black. Even if you're drawing jet black hair, like the outline would actually be like the highlight of the jet black hair. It wouldn't be completely jet black. And the next step is from where the V meets, where the two strands meet. I would just shade that in a little bit more. If you think about it, that part should be really dark, right? It's not really getting much light because it can't. That's where the braids are turning in, or the hair strands are turning in, I mean. So I would get that same dark color and go on this side. I feel like it was darker. There we go. If you notice, I left the gap there because I feel like that would show. And you know what? I want to go even darker. If you feel like you need to go darker, do it, do it, do it. I'm instigating you to go darker, go bolder. And now with this like darkest color, I'm just placing these shadows right where the, like, if you imagine the strands going into each other, where it would be the darkest. And I kind of exaggerated it here. That's okay. I think it shows the point, right? And then I'm gonna go back to this lightest color, which was the base color, and I'm going to go lighter and opposite. So if I want cooler, I'm going to go warmer. And it's pretty common to use a warm light or some warmer color and tone than your base tone if you're assuming sunlight. But if you're coloring something in a futuristic type, like if you're doing sci-fi or fantasy character where they live somewhere where it's very futuristic, you would have to play around with the colors. That is not my expertise. So the last thing I did with this last highlight, if you saw, I just quickly brushed over, and I would also extend the highlight to shape the braid a little bit more, because that highlight color next to that dark blue, that dark color you chose, it really makes the braid pop out. And I want to like give this huge disclaimer. I feel like I should have said it earlier. I am a self-taught artist. So everything I've learned is through watching you guys or experimenting. So if you find an expert that says that's not how you should do it, well, this is how I do it. That expert might be right. But this is how I do it. This is how I learned. Oh, and if you want to be fancy, I love doing this. Baby hair. Who doesn't love baby hair? And now we have like that top part of the braid done. So braids are very time consuming, but they're beautiful. So it's really up to you how you want to add them to your art. I would say do it. Just do it. They take time, but they're so worth it. And that's pretty much it. I would do this giant one, but it's going to take forever. And it's pretty much what we did here in a bigger scale. So you want to pay attention to the lighting and warm and cool colors. So my shadows went cooler while my highlights went lighter. And that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful. Again, I am a self-taught artist. This is just how I learned how to do my braids and how to color on my own. I do hope this does help, however. And let me know if you still have questions. If you're still confused about flow, how to make the hair go floofy, or how to figure out how to paint or sketch hair, go back to my first tutorial, which is in my Instagram, and I kind of explain it step by step there. And that's pretty much it. I hope this really helps. I know I sound like a broken record, but I really hope it helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Like, look at that braid, it's coming out popping. You know what? Baby hair should be darker. Let's see. Ooh, yes. Yes, baby hair. Yes. Okay, yeah, I need to stop doing this. Bye. Thank you so much for being here and listening and learning. I really appreciate it. Thank you.